What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going right into fantasy football with the top 15 quarterbacks for this upcoming year. If you guys are new, feel free to stick around. Would love to be able to continue growing the community. Fantasy football is definitely going to be a mainstay of the channel. Again, draft content is going to continue kicking up, sports betting, all of that good stuff. And all the links are below. Let's get right into this because it's a fun list, and I already know I'm about to get absolutely berated by people, but hold your horses. Let's get right into it. Starting off with the number one quarterback, it is Patrick Mahomes. He is someone who's consistent regardless of his weapons. Last year was a huge test. You didn't have Tyreek Hill, and he still put up really damn good numbers. Love to see that, and I think the addition of Rashee Rice does replace the vacancy that Juju Smith-Schuster had, and I think they play a similar role. I think that's awesome. And then Travis Kelce, he might not be getting any younger, but he's still performing as if he is, which is awesome. I love to see that. I think the offense is just super polished. He's able to overcome any hurdle, and honestly, you guys get to see the stats. I don't need to read them off to you guys, but basically, I took this directly from ESPN, and then I decided to make my own predictions. Did I put fumbles in there? Only for one quarterback because it's a little bit tough to be able to do that. I usually factored in the turnovers with the interceptions, but basically it's broken down by passing yards, touchdowns, interceptions, kind of pretty straightforward, and then rushing yards, rushing touchdowns. And then I calculated it based off of that. So the number up top is an actual calculation based on the numbers below. It was not pulled out of my ass. And the other numbers, the ADP was taken from fantasypros.com because I wanted to give you guys a general consensus as to where these guys are going. It's really early. This is subject to change. And then the rank is where ESPN ranks them on their own. And you will see that the overall projection that I have doesn't fully follow the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not the exact same, but I think certain things like consistency might be something I value a little bit more. Let's go to the number 2 quarterback. This is obviously where things are going to change because statistically speaking, Jalen Hurts is not my number 2 quarterback, but I think that his ability to run an offense overall, his ability to run out of tough situations, he doesn't really put the ball in harm's way. I think that's something I really do appreciate, and I do appreciate the fact that he's able to do these QB sneaks down below on the goal line. I think maybe I should have increased the rushing touchdowns. The only reason that I kept it around that 11 to 12 mark is because of the fact they brought on DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny, the latter being the guy who I think could be more that goal line back. But honestly, I just feel like Jalen Hurts is going to be the number 2 guy. Even if he doesn't score as many points as my number 3 guy, I still think he's going to be absolutely baller. And I just love the fact that he is a reliable option on the goal line. He has an amazing receiving room there, and it's going to be their second year working together. It's just overall a really damn good team. Great O-line. I don't really need to explain that too much. It's later on the list where you're going to be taking the 3rd, 4th, and even down to the 10th best quarterback where this information is a little bit more valuable. Next, we got Josh Allen. Again, he had 380 and versus 371 essentially. So, yes, technically he is QB2, but the inconsistency, he will have bad games. That's why I'm a little bit worried. He has dealt obviously with that UCL sprain, and that could potentially flare back up, causing him to have to run the ball more. God only knows. But I do love the fact that he does run the ball. He does know how to lower the shoulder, and that will lead to rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. This is in PPR format for those of you guys who are counting, but all of my stuff will be as well. He's just a really fun quarterback, and they are continuing to invest in potentially getting DeAndre Hopkins. That's going to be awesome, but they have a really good receiving room overall. Dalton Kincaid being used like Patrick Mahomes is a big reason why, or not like Patrick Mahomes, but like Travis Kelce is a big reason why I wanted to keep Josh this high. Otherwise, I'd start feeling a little bit more concerned about the inconsistency, but I think Dalton might lower the interceptions more than what maybe I would expect. You guys will probably disagree with the interception numbers, but again, this is a turnover stat, interceptions and fumbles, which you might start arguing is always too low for the quarterbacks. We'll see about that. Next, we have Lamar Jackson. I am hoping that he stays healthy and able to, kick some ass. He's going to be passing a bit more, which is why I did not put him over 1,000 yards rushing. They're looking to be able to be more pass heavy, which is cool because I'm excited to see that. I obviously had a little bit more faith in his arm than ESPN did, and I'm notoriously not the biggest Lamar Jackson fan. So I think that, in this new offense with this new contract, he's going to be able to put a little bit more on the line, and they're going to be using him a little bit more as a true quarterback rather than just a weapon. But, they continue investing in offensive line, in the receiving room, in the running back room. They have everything. The Ravens have had everything. So I think for sure Lamar deserves the respect of being a top 5 quarterback. And he has been, and he still is right now, and he always will be. I mean, his running ability until he starts having multiple leg injuries is going to be a major asset week in and week out. Even when he does fail as a passer, he's able to use those legs and be very dominant, which is why Justin Fields, which we'll talk about soon, was actually popular last year in even PPR format. So number 5, Joe Burrow. So it is the same top 5 as the consensus at the moment, and I think that's perfectly fine. Joe Burrow has an upgraded offensive line. He has obviously some of the best weapons. Tight end's a bit concerning, which is why I think I had his turnovers a little bit higher than what ESPN suggested. But I think that he's able to tone it down. And, with an upgraded offensive line with Orlando Brown there, I think that's going to be a big addition. Even though the right tackle is a little bit suspect, you still can rely on that left. I still think he's going to be a very good quarterback. It's very annoying because as a Steelers fan, not really a huge fan of giving 2 quarterbacks in my own division top 5 spots in the fantasy rankings. Next, we have Justin Herbert. So I'm going to be going a little bit more on a limb. Again, my points are usually higher than ESPN's for these quarterbacks, but Justin, they didn't get the guy like Jalen Hyatt or Tank Dell that I was hoping for. And we'll talk about Jalen Hyatt soon enough. But they're still getting investments into the offense. And I really like Kellen Moore's ability to open up the pass game. So Kellen Moore is kind of the main reason why I'm putting Justin Herbert so high. Not really the guy who I want running. I don't think that he's going to be doing very much running. And his offensive line is solid enough. And I think that his running back room is definitely good enough to be able to keep him in the pocket and allow them to do more of the work on the ground. But certainly an amazing player. I just do worry that the deep threat options are a little bit limited. But again, I think that will allow him to probably be a little bit less risky with the ball. Maybe he might get a little bit more of the fumble issues because of the fact that he's probably going to be in the pocket so much. But we shall see. Next, we have Justin Fields. Yes, Justin is a top 10 fantasy quarterback, and a lot of people might lose their bonkers at it. I know Bears fans will not, unless they're trying to say he's worth a higher spot, which, with his running ability, you certainly can say that he does deserve to do that. But Justin Fields is an awesome player, especially in fantasy format. His game is very similar to Lamar Jackson's in the running ability because he is he's one of those guys when he's out in the open field, you can almost kiss him goodbye instantly. The speed is undeniable, and he definitely understands how to read the field. I love to see that, especially on the move, on the run. I think that where he needs to work on is when everything calms down, especially I'm just continuing to think about that one interception to Aiden Hutchinson, where I think they rushed 0, maybe 3 guys. He just doesn't read the field the way that I'd want him to when there's not pressure there. And I would love to see him just continue to improve as a passer, and he has. I love seeing the trend, and just like we'll talk about Trevor Lawrence, we are seeing them trend positively. To me, that's a very big plus, and he has the legs, and now they have a new receiving room. Bears are doing a very good job, and they have a new right tackle. I love it. Next, we have Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I am much higher on Aaron Rodgers than ESPN is. I think that receiving room is ridiculous. They didn't invest in the offensive line. It's probably my big concern. But Aaron Rodgers is not crap. I think he's a year and a half or 2 years removed from an MVP season. Might have been back-to-back MVPs. I'm slipping my mind right now. But, the only thing that's not putting him higher is because he doesn't run. But, Breece Hall is coming off an ACL tear. Usually those guys do not perform well. I don't trust the running back room to be someone to be a unit that would soak up a lot of the numbers from this receiving core. The receiving core is ridiculous. Alan Lazard, obviously, is probably not the best first name that I should mention, but you do have some really good ones in there like Garrett Wilson that I trust with all my heart. It sucks they don't have Elijah Moore, but that's the whole entire reason why Deshaun Watson will be included on this list. Next, we got Dak. I love Dak. I just don't know if he's going to be healthy for all the games. If he's healthy, I could see him pushing for 5,000. I'm just kind of trying to factor that in a little bit with the way that I'm evaluating this. Without Kellen Moore, I'm also a little bit concerned because I love Kellen Moore, especially with Dak Prescott. They also lost Dalton Schultz, so it kind of sucks because I thought that Dalton Schultz could have been a vital piece of this offense and maybe something that Dak could have relied on when he's getting used to the new offensive system. But, this team's ready, and they are going to be very pass heavy. I don't know if Zeke's going to come back, and they have some cap space to do it. So I'm intrigued to see, but Dak Prescott is definitely someone who I'd never count out. I just would have a quarterback on roster to be able to make sure in case he gets injured that you have a very good continuation plan in place. Now talking about a guy who's on the way up, that trend is Trevor Lawrence. He's definitely going to be a consistent starter for the next 15 years. He came out. He is not obviously Jesus the way maybe some people thought he would be. I was never on the Jesus train for Trevor. I believe I had, I'm not mistaken, I think I had both Kyle Pitts as well as Penei Sewell above him. So I was never completely enamored with Trevor Lawrence. I thought he was an amazing quarterback, but he was never someone who really wowed me the way, Sauce Gardner, for example, did. So excited about that one. The guys who really wow me, I have a pretty high hit rate on, so I'm very happy about that. But Trevor Lawrence, still an incredible quarterback, very consistent, and again, he is improving, and that is exactly what you want to see. And then you got Doug Peterson. He's having year 2 with him, so now you have comfortability. He could definitely be even higher than 10 overall. I think he could even be top 5 quarterback when all is said and done. The limited weapons, to me, a little bit concerning with Evan Engram potentially going to hold out for a new contract. But, you have Calvin Ridley there. It's going to be really cool seeing him. And I'm very stoked to see it for sure. But yeah, y'all could read the stats. I don't need to read the stats off to you. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a very good quarterback this year. And with the loss of Cam Robinson, they were able to address it with Anton Harrison, who has played both left and right tackle. So, there's going to be a spot for their first round rookie. Next, we have Kirk Cousins. People are going to be mad at this one. I already know. Even though I had the same rank as ESPN. He just doesn't run the ball very much. I know he's in the pass-heavy offense because Dalvin Cook's never healthy. And, Alexander Madison's on a short-term contract. Doesn't really have that pure starter potential. But I think Kirk Cousins is going to be somebody who puts up good stats as a passer. I just don't fully trust him. I don't. Without Adam Thielen, I don't trust that wide receiver 2. And I love Jordan Addison. I think he could step up into it. But I really need to see Jordan Addison acclimate to a wide receiver 2. I love KJ Osborne. But again, there's only so many people you can put in the top 10. There's only so many quarterbacks you can place in the top 10. Kirk Cousins, without a reliable veteran option besides Justin Jefferson, I start getting a little bit concerned. And, you have TJ Hawkins there. I love that. But that's also why I have the interception/turnovers really low. I think he's going to be a very solid quarterback. I do love Kirk Cousins. It's just, again, there's 32 quarterbacks who are starting in the NFL, and 31 of them, or maybe 30 of them, are actually worth at least considering somewhat for this list. Very excited to see that. Next, we have Tua Tagovailoa. Now, this one could come to bite me in the ass, but the only reason I have him here is because of injury concerns. The dude just gets hurt way too often. If he's healthy for the full season, I could easily see him putting up 5,000 yards and being a top 3 MVP candidate. And the reason why is because that offense is super easy to run, and they have the weapons to make it extremely easy to run it. So I'm very excited to see if Tua can stay healthy. I obviously would put him much higher in this list. But again, you got to factor that the best ability is availability. And Tua is just not really available. Now we're talking about Jalen Hyatt with the New York Giants and Daniel Jones. Daniel, I just don't really trust his ceiling. I love they have Darren Waller there. That's a huge plus to me. And that's the reason why I'm keeping those interceptions low. Low enough. Now, this is the one time I'm factoring in fumbles because this dude fumbles a lot, and he would have a significantly higher score. But I also think that I don't really trust him to be that elite starter quarterback, and the money they paid him, which is over 40 if I'm not mistaken, is it's a solid contract, but I don't really think he's fully earned it. And I know that might piss off some Giants fans, but it is what it is. I like the fact he has really good legs, and Dable is an awesome QB guy. So he's been able to make Daniel Jones a lot better, a lot more efficient. I think he can certainly continue to do so here as long as he doesn't fumble the damn ball, which has been a big issue. I just don't see a wide receiver one there. And thank God that they have Darren Waller. Hopefully he stays healthy. If he does, he's going to be awesome. If not, you're going to have some issues. And I don't really trust Saquon to be the guy who takes every single snap when, he's had injury history as well. I want to be able to have a balanced attack, and I don't trust this team to have a balanced attack just yet. Next, we have Bryce Young. I think the offensive line is awesome. I did not change the reasons. So I'm going to give you brand new reasons because, Dex. But he has a great O-line. He has very solid weapons in there. You got DJ Chark, if I'm not mistaken. You also have Mingo that they just drafted. And then, again, really, really good offensive line. And then they don't really have running backs, so I think they're going to pass a lot. I think he's going to stay healthy because of the fact that offensive line is super polished. And, you just are repeating exactly what you're going to have last year. And Deontay Foreman looked like an absolute freak behind that offensive line. I think that Bryce Young will have that protection in that time to deliver it to those receivers. I really do like that a lot. But yeah, ESPN has him as QB 24. I'm obviously taking a big swing here. It's weird seeing him, and he definitely looks really, really short, but I'm excited to see what he can do in the NFL. Could be a complete bust if he is not able to combat his height well. We shall see. And then last but not least is Deshaun Watson. He's just still getting used to it. He had some big struggles last year. He was a big disappointment, but I think he's going to have a much better year this year. Again, he hadn't played in like 2 years and 2.5 years and, decided to come back. I think he's going to get back in the saddle, but ESPN has him as QB8. I'm saying hold your horses right there. I think they paid David Njoku in the offseason, which is good for him, but also they got Elijah Moore. I think that's awesome. I'm glad to see they also had a very good draft, continuing to invest in the offensive line. So this is definitely probably Deshaun, if he gets back in the saddle again, does similar to what I project him stat-wise this year. I think he could totally take a step up and be that top 10 to top 5 QB next year. We shall see, of course. Guys who almost made the cut, Kenny Pickett, I just don't like the offense that Canada runs. If he's gone, absolutely putting him in the top 15. Other guys of note, guys are slipping my mind right now, to be fair. But Sam Howell could be a sneaky one. That receiving room is really good. They continue to invest in the offensive line. They have good running backs who can catch out of the backfield as well. Would definitely have him be a super dark horse, but we'll definitely see. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys are excited for fantasy because I certainly am. See you guys on the far side. Peace.